Ancient technology comments. So as you can see, someone's asking me to explain something. And the explanation has to be about how the ancient humans used electricity. Because in the video, I'm pointing out the fact that ancient humans were well aware of electricity because lightning storms exist, because lightning exists. So they would have seen lightning and they would have been like, what is that? And they would have tried to figure it out. And humans have existed for over 10,000 of years. So the first couple thousand years, they might have figured it out what lightning is. Might have figured out how to create small lightning. They might have rubbed their head, right, scratched their head, and touched somebody else's head, and then boom, a little electrical spark, right, which we call static electricity. And that's how they could have discovered that. Wait, electricity's everywhere. That's how I discovered electricity as a kid. Besides the obvious lightning storm stuff, but I mean the fact is like, wait, I can create static electricity. And as kids, we love, you know, with wearing our socks on carpets and shuffling, and then touching something metallic or another person, it's shocking them. So that's our first experience as kids. Well, for me anyway, and kids in my generation, to experience what electricity is and how to generate it. How you can generate static, electrostatic charge. So, and of course, you learn in science class, you know, how to make a flashlight out of batteries and copper wires and a light bulb, for example. And, the list goes on. So, I was really into science as a kid, and still am. So, how would ancient humans use electricity? Now, the point of this video is just to put out some of the keynotes, the main points of how ancient humans use electricity, and then I go into like a more in-depth, more detailed, more evidence-based version of this video later on. But for now, I just want to point out that currently, right now, my main view of some of from the evidence, like the Baghdad battery, for example, even the idea of just lightning strikes hitting certain locations being deliberately built to be able to act as a lightning rod. Um, just with that alone, it's like, okay, what they use that electricity for? You're not going to use lightning, right, to to power your cell phone, right, to charge a piece of tech. It's too much electricity for that. Um, you can, of course, try to convert it into smaller doses of electricity. Try to store it and slowly, release it, right, and use it. But for me, what I've seen so far is ancient humans, specifically, especially in Egypt, chemistry. A lot of chemistry in Egypt. So, how they use electricity, as opposed to how any other ancient civilization uses electricity, how they use it specifically, I will, if I find other ways they used it, obviously I will share it. But right now, the only thing I think about is they use it for electrolysis. They use it to separate um, chemical bonds. For example, running electricity through water will cause the hydrogen and oxygen of the water to separate. So then you get hydrogen gas, you get oxygen gas. You can go on YouTube and learn about electrolysis, right? How to, how to turn water into hydrogen and gas. And that's what I believe. And in the Great Pyramid, it has been analyzed. This is some old information. Obviously, you got to reconfirm it. That there was hydrogen, or traces of hydrogen um, molecules in the Great Pyramid. And I do believe there's a big lightning rod, and there are iron deposits around, um, embedded into the Giza plateau itself. So the plateau itself that the pyramid is built on top of literally has a whole bunch of iron in the bedrock, tons of it, and it branches out well, pattern wise it branches out like lightning, which can further prove the point that it has been the pyramid has been hit by lightning numerous times, and the electricity went down into the bedrock, and that's why the iron is exposed. But anyway, that's for a different video, analyzing that more. But I noticed that it does have like a lightning-like pattern or a tree root-like pattern. It's not perfectly uniform, like if somebody put it there on purpose, right? But anyway, so the point is they will use electricity to separate chemicals, especially if they combine chemicals to do something. It's like, okay, it didn't do what we wanted to do, so we want to separate the chemicals back and do the other stuff. Plus, doing the electrolysis thing, right, separate the hydrogen from the oxygen, allows you to make the gas, hydrogen gas, and the oxygen gas, right, and then you can recombine it, usually just by burning the hydrogen, and and then there's already oxygen in the air, so oxygen hydrogen combo turns back into water. And that's one way you can uh, filter water. A very extreme way of doing it, because you're literally breaking water down into its basic chemical composition, right? Its basic atoms, elements, hydrogen and oxygen, and then recombining it, right, through combustion. But it's something they definitely can do, because all you need is electricity. What's under the Great Pyramid is an aquifer, right? There's water under there. That's what the scientists say, right? There's water under the Great Pyramid, so it's like, interesting. Water under the Great Pyramid. There's iron in the plateau, which is above the aquifers, right? And the pyramid itself is pretty tall and has been hit by lightning a couple of times. And they used to, quote unquote, have a golden capstone, which is superconductive, right? So it can be used for electronics, for electricity, right? So what if, right? What if that was the point? The Great Pyramid gets hit by lightning, and then it takes the lightning, takes it down to the water, creates hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas gets, uh, lit up. It turns into fuel, right? It's gonna burn, right? And then turns back into water and whatever else they do with it, right? But just want to point out the fact is like you can use electricity, even small amounts, like from a Baghdad battery or even from a lemon. You can use electricity that flows out of a lemon by sticking copper and zinc, right, or iron and copper into a lemon. You can create some electricity, and you could just have the electricity flow into water, and then you can separate the hydrogen and oxygen, and go from there. I recently did something with a battery. I put it into water and it started, creating the hydrogen gas. Took my lighter and I lit it, and it's like, man, it was a fire. It was a fire on water. It's like, man, I just lit water on fire. Right, the irony of that I lit water on fire. But anyway, just wanted to point that out, that ancient humans would use electricity, small amounts, or even a big lightning storm, right? Specifically for the purpose of separating chemical bonds of chemicals like hydrogen and oxygen, from uh, from water. So whatever else they did. But that's one of the things that, if you think of ancient humans, especially ancient Egypt, as chemists, scientists, right, who love chemistry. If you understand chemistry, you do research and learn about chemistry, one of the things you will learn is about electrolysis, right? You will learn about chemical reactions and chemical bonds. And once you know that stuff, then you start understanding the Egyptians better, right? The ancient Egyptians. You're like, yeah, that's what they will use electricity for 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 triggering chemical reactions, or for uh, breaking chemical bonds, right? So that way they can create different types of stuff, right? So it's a lot of chemistry. And back then, they were known as the land of Chem, or Kemet, right? And they, you know, chemistry was magic in the past. We call it chemistry. They call it alchemist or magic. You know, just want to point that out.